So this game is basically summed up pretty much by the fact that they had no real way to deal with PA whenever she was not by herself. Like that right there, it took 4 people, 5 people on top of her to do anything. We're about to see another situation where Link goes down and then they have no way to deal with her for quite a while. Now, she knows that they have nothing to deal with her. Instead of waiting for the next static link, they let her go to them. It just isn't enough. Medusa doesn't do enough. He went this Ags Manta build. Just basically a wall that isn't much of a wall. I think it was probably a better game to go S and Y, Scotty, all that crap. Maybe Butterfly. PA hates going MKB. And off basically that, the LeBron team were able to, or 2-2-2 were able to turn the game slowly but surely. This game's just kind of weird. Basically what's going on is they have a techies, but he's not able to really burst anti-mage that's split pushing. He had one chance where he had like 8 mines right here, but I guess he felt like he couldn't do it. Probably level 2 at the time, so it's only 30 something hundred, and he's got 60% magic resist. It wouldn't have been enough. And Slardar's playing too much on the middle side of the map. Anti-mage grabbed himself a divine rapier after pushing down mid top racks. Dotato actually came really fucking close to killing this Rax before they retreated to try to deal with AM and spelled disaster, even though they have a crazy big lead. There you go. I was trying to figure out when they get the kill on him. So now they get this divine rapier. Get Roshan. Have huge swing and advantage again. 36k net worth advantage. And this is where disaster strikes. He refreshes, still has BKB. Doesn't use it right here. You're gonna get ice pathed, stunned, and then gets killed. Anti-mage picks up his divine rapier, and now they struggle to reset the game. This leads to a final fight where they're pushing here, and Faceless Void gets caught. He's doing the typical Faceless Void time walk thing, and slow fingers with BKB again. He totally had a chance here. He goes back, gets orchided, and then he doesn't use BKB, dies. Definitely could have been a Dotato game. So Phoenix's team, or Cult of Paint as they're called, is actually one of the biggest surprises. They did really good. They had a game plan. They executed pretty well. But this bottom tower is like the death of this team. First, they lose on this push. Like, it just isn't very favorable. And notice how the mid matchup, which is not favorable to Quap in my opinion to start, at least because, you know, Dyer could group with the Orchid on the Nature's Prophet. She's actually keeping pace with him, and now she's exceeding him. And then again, this happens a little bit later. They push, not quite this tower, but now mid tier 2. Tier 2 nonetheless. This guy's free to attack in the back line. This guy did not go in. I don't know. It is what it is. They had a good trade, but they couldn't execute on the way out. When they throw themselves in, they end up losing this, and their carry is off farming in the triangle while they're trying to push a tier 2. It's just a recipe for disaster. They end up getting this tower, but it just isn't it's just not opportune. It just isn't optimal. How long it takes to get this. They had so many objectives. They went from a 7k lead down to this. Gets closed out on basically this right here. Which I think I'm going to blame it on Phoenix for not going Lotus Orb. He went a third item Rod of Atos, and everyone had BKBs and shit already. So it just felt weird. I think if he had Lotus, this doesn't happen. I don't know actually. The sheep stick would have happened, but let's see. He got stunned there, silenced, and then hexed. So he could have leapt out if he got Lotus on the silence. In general, weird build. I don't know if this blink was worth it. Satanic or something to that effect would have been nice. Sanjin Yasha. Also, the carry needs to chrono with healers in the dead center because the Ag's range is small. So if you chrono on the inside, that he can't save people inside Aegis, inside chrono. This game is only a 1-game series for me because they forgot to ticket their match. Okay timing on Battle Fury, not the best. Probably wanted it 2 minutes earlier, especially since he skipped Wraith Ban. 14 minutes or so is what's expected, but you know, doesn't stop him from showing up to kill some people. You can see that no one's really that wealthy, and Mars seems to be struggling. I feel like Mars struggles the most too whenever the games are slow. People don't farm with him very well. Definitely could get picks with him though. So in general, the game looked okay for Dire. I'm kind of curious where it turned because on the replay I saw that 23 minutes it turns. So let's see what the lead up to this is. Pressure around Roshan. Get a pick for free on top of the Bane. Void Spirit's in trouble, but he gets out. Oh, that was huge, actually. And a regen rune? Okay. How do the hell does Dire lose this? I don't know. Ay, ay, ay. So, is it typical PA greed? Ooh, they use a soul ulti on a Bane. They don't even have Ravage though. But PA is forced to be attacking. Mars doesn't have ulti. What is he doing? Why is he not tanking this? Oh no. Oh my god, he got bashed. Oh. You know, I've had a game where I got triple bashed, and I think that's close in contention. Like, literally bashed for 6 seconds straight. It was the most miserable thing ever. And that's definitely close. And with evasion, that's gotta be rough. They never really recover from this point. They get another pick on top of the PA here. People feel way too invincible with this. You need to leave right here. Yes, after that pick, we have a huge gold swing. Now it's 9k. And I don't think that they ever recover off that. Just, it's definitely very tilting series of circumstances. They do get a pick on top of their AM here. But the other two die. I mean, the other guy dies. And they get Void Spirit. Yep. That's just writing on the wall. Alright. And then they lose after that. So, this is just in general a very odd matchup. We have a Queen of Pain from mid being run. And then on top of that, we have carry style Earthshaker. And they do seem to kind of make it work. I mean, for quite a while. Missed the ultimate. Nyx goes down. Dyer's pushing here. Let's see what ends up happening. That was a weird decision. So they buy back into this greedy Roche. Ursa gets pushed out. Oh, is he not gonna? He doesn't get his ultimate off. Oof. Another Roshan. He gets cheese. They get Aegis, Suntar. This really feels weird. Like, these fights are really, really long, but there's not a lot of right clicking going on from Radiant. He's got the gem here. Oh. That is very unfortunate. What was he thinking? And this time they secure Aegis and it's GG. It goes traditionally the mid. And this game's actually pretty crazy. I think it gets pretty much blown out. Yeah. 4k lead right off the rip. The offlane Night Stalker won. The safe lane Wraith King won. And then mid OD obviously won. Especially into a Doom. Doesn't seem quite fair. I guess they do get a pick on the Dire at some point. But that's because they're playing super high up. Does he just TP out afterwards or no, walks away? That's always the worst feeling. I mean, OD's taking a pretty big ultimate and nothing. 2 big ultis get wasted here. Late Yules, no mana. That's what happens when you're Sand King. Its net worth is lower than a Night Stalker by 1,500. Yeah, he went Midas. So, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Midas Doom on mid. I think just you go blink BKB and just run at people. Without that, I feel like your just presence is not that big deal. Like, look, he's like all this net worth. He's the highest net worth, but doesn't matter. 2,000 of it is inside of a Midas. And they get Aegis, and I don't think you can do much from here. Then here, let's give him a fair shot. Let's see what happens right here on this defense. Dooming the right clicker instead of OD, but OD is Aegis. I don't know, it feels weird. We have a buyback on their carry, but I don't think it matters. I fucking hate Rubik into OD. It's such a weird game when that happens. The lead gets exasperated, or gets further apart here. Yeah, essentially this guy's net worth doesn't move for about 5 minutes. Get a good Doom here. He shouldn't have used lift. He had Wraith stun right there. Should have used that instead. And he walked in to get hit by this. Once you get cut off from your team, it feels bad, man. Oh, panic. Oh, so sloppy. Luckily, they get him just in time. Even after that, like optimal turn, I don't think it's enough. They have no buyback on their carry still. Honestly, the MVP is the Dark Willow this game. And I guess least valuable is probably the Sand King. He had some okay plays at some points, but he's feels bad. Okay, their Dark Willow is a Divine 3. Makes sense. And that's how the game's closed out. So I watched these games already through the stream, but I was just kind of curious how the rotation of stars to mid would go. And I can kind of sum up these games pretty well. Basically, we had a disadvantageous matchup in mid. You can see right here, 6K to 4K is 2K at 12-minute net worth advantage. That's kind of gigantic. I mean, the problem is you're playing Wind Ranger, and once he gets Meteor Hammer, you can't even play the lane. Honestly, it's arguable if you can play the game even before Meteor Hammer. They probably could have just put Wind Ranger top and put the sniper in mid against the OD. I don't know. Just weird decision making. And essentially what ends up happening is that they death ball once they get this advantage. They just run at them, and they have Viper on the off lane as well. It's basically Doggo just gets to right click people. I think that's kind of ideal for the situation of their hero composition or player composition matchups. He ends up getting stats for right click. And here they just run into them and pretty much end the game. I mean, the fact that you have 3 cores that are all significantly lower than the lowest net worth core on the Radiant is really bad. I don't know what they were thinking with this draft. Very confusing. This game is a little different. This is, I think, their first matchup. But they have a semi-disadvantageous lineup here. I mean, they have a 5-position Pudge, and it feels like not the greatest trades. But they kind of get over-eager and end up throwing the lane a little bit here. Don't think it's quite here. It's in a little bit. Let me skip ahead to it. Dark Green actually spent a bunch on consumables, keep healing up his carry. And mid lane, Riki is suffering against Quap. I mean, it's 600 net worth difference at 5 minutes. Yep, I think it's coming up here. There we go. He hooks under low HP. Aragorn goes in, and Aragorn actually gets killed because Clockwork boxes him in. It's a really unfortunate turn of events for top lane. It evens it out and makes Doggo get back into the game. Vinny and Stars, though, have solid starts. Granted, Kunkka is doing really good too. Like, I don't know, but I guess breaking even in the top lane is a bigger trade for them than Kunkka doing pretty solid. Because, like, I don't know, even though he's rich, Vinny's not that shut down. He's keeping pace with the mid laner. In general, it feels like Aragorn's team's actually pretty solid this game, even though they have an interesting draft. I think the Disruptor matchup into Underlord is always pretty suffer for Underlord. I think it changes the way you can play the hero. But in the meantime, while they're doing this like 4 or 3-man Dota, Vinny's just sitting in the triangle hitting creeps. I think of what happens a lot is you neutralize player discrepancies in terms of like MMR if you just trade farm dumbly. I really feel like if you put pressure on someone and don't let them just farm AFK farm the jungle, it's a big deal. Yeah, and they end up getting to the kill anyways on top of the carry. Just bad timing. And the game in general is kind of a tug of war. I'm not super interested in like narrating every step of it, but suffice to say, in general, Vinny's pretty tanky and gives the front line that they need. I think this was actually the biggest misplay by Doggo. He had refraction. He could have blinked on top of this Clockwork he knew was going to be there. He just walked out of Roche Pit, helped them out here as well. Said he kept going for it, and then he knows that Clockwork's got vision of it. He ends up getting it stolen. But I don't know if it actually turns out mattering too much. Yeah. The AoE damage is, I think, just too much. They slowly whittle them down and then they kill Clockwork twice. But so overall, you know, Stars' team gets a big advantage here, but I feel like it was a small misplay by him. Another misplay by Aragorn. They slowly end up whittling it down. I mean, the reality of it is that Radiant don't really have a good solution to TA. This guy's probably their best solution, but he doesn't go Diffusal. He goes this like farming carry build. And like it kind of works in some situations too, but I don't think that you want a situation where you're behind this early. Weaver also played this very weird like carry draft style. Good pushback. Just barely dying. Never blink on top of a Nyx. It's just so unnecessary. Works out, I'm pretty sure, for the time being, but Kanka just doesn't like these extended fights. Like, if your team outlasts you, it just feels bad. And then they have this Nyx paired, like, matchup too, burning mana from heroes that don't want their mana burned. Long fights are not good for them. Definitely feels like if you don't win top lane like super hard with the Clockwork Weaver, it just doesn't feel worth it. And then going carrier from off lane also feels weird. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this game. So, one game seems like a drawn out death cry, but this one seems like a little closer. I really feel like Hoodwink into Storm kind of sucks for Hoodwink. Like, Storm can just go into Hoodwink and just kill him over and over again. Like, he didn't even go stats, he's rushing Maelstrom, like raw Maelstrom. It should be food for Storm every time. And you have a Weaver too. It feels like super easy defs on him. I mean, this is one of the things that you'll notice that higher MMR players do against like matchups where they feel like, you know, they need to control the mid pretty hard, is they'll ward mid pretty hard and just control vision. And I think them not doing that is kind of problematic. There is a good rotation by Storm. If he gets both, that's a huge deal. I think he is going to. He wasted 2 or 3 bottle sips while being ignited. Slows down his farm a little bit. Getting this bounty rune. In general, I do like Jihad's draft more. Let's see how this game goes out. The reason why I like it though is because like you have a BKB piercing jump from Axe. You have Storm Spirit to follow it up or initiate it from the start on Void. There's no real save for him. Like if you get BKBs, I just don't know how you necessarily lose. I mean, the one problem is that Faceless Void kind of just destroys all carries late game, but you do have a Weaver to save your carry. So let's see what ends up happening with the net worth and stuff. Storm is actually pretty well involved. I think he's more involved than Prohibit. 4-0. Oh no, Prohibit's got 4 kills. So equal involvement just about. He is getting better farm on Storm though. Some big kills. The one thing I don't like is the fact that this guy's not died yet though. Just feel like one smoke out of your Lich and Weaver and he dies. You might not even need Storm. Or just Storm can zip from anywhere. I think that's a confidence thing though. Right now 3k net worth advantage. Feels like if you group you probably win the fight. If he zips too early he's gonna get out. Nice. He ended up being able to solo him. I feel like he had a chance to leap there. Maybe he was AFK doing something else. I feel like the tempo of the Storm just outpaces the tempo of this Hoodwink. It probably gives him big advantage. Curious how this Troll Warlord ends up feeling though. Maybe it's a comfort pick. I'm not a fan of the hero in this patch. Alright, they use a chrono here and macropire. I feel like you kind of have to do an objective on Radiant after that. See if they do it. Yep, they're doing Roshan. But he's not letting the little thing tank. Feel like this is not the greatest trade right here. Should have let the minion tank. No troll T now. That could be bad. Is it being okay? I think both of your supports get killed right off the rip is not good, especially for troll. Means you get kited out. Yeah. And Storm's just off in the distance. Pushing without the BKB timing. Just because you have Aegis doesn't mean you have to force it. I think that's just down to discipline. You had the objective on Roshan. Use it to farm aggro on troll. You have Storm to save you if you need it. Or give it to Storm, honestly. Let him farm it more aggro. Smart Aeon disc purchased by Faceless. He knows that he just needs to survive an ulti. I don't think it's necessarily required, but pretty smart. They know that if they could just survive the initial jump, that they can live. He should have they jumped in the back. Honestly, pretty solid jump. He needed to zip again. I don't know why he stood there for that. As Aeon discs ended up being clutch. That was nice. Buyback by Axe to turn that fight. But, I mean, we see the writing on the wall. You keep losing net worth. They pick up Aegis to offset it a little bit. Oh, maybe going Ags would have been good this game on Faceless Void. And you have a Weaver, he has Ags, just get Ags, you dispel time dilation, you dispel ignite. To a smaller degree liquid fire. And you look at this, like, they still have not managed to get a tier 2. And granted, neither team has. But I feel like into a Faceless Void, you really want that control. If they lose Axe, it's a big deal. His zips are way too short. Why is this guy still here? What is he doing? That's just sloppy. I feel like if Storm didn't spend an hour shopping, they could have easily turned this. I think they have potential, they're just not very disciplined. Alright. I think they just end up cutting it down and winning. So this is Quakefon or whatever versus Big Toes team or whatever. I don't know too much about Big Rock's team as a whole, but they definitely have Panaz. I'm not sure they're a very strong team overall, but they definitely give it their all. We have AM starting off pretty solid here, but I feel like PA is getting good farm too. Too many stick charges. You're just really seeing this tankiness of this duo, that they overstayed their welcome. No dusts. Oof. I think Puck is getting too much mid, but he did go Quaswex. I don't think you want to cold snap that early. I think you want to try to time it with the mana drain. I don't know if you're ever going to get that, but this definitely hurts. They invade the triangle, get the stacks. Can't indefinitely ignore this Underlord. I guess for now you can, but he's cleaning up the back line. I mean, 170 hits. It's gotta hurt. Well, the ignoring is worth it, I guess. Yep. He went a little too deep on Underlord, ends up getting cleaned up. Overall, pretty decent, but you can see net worth is not that huge. AM's getting bigger, but is it enough? I think that these neutrals are actually hurting the Dire quite a bit early on here. You remember, they have a Quasvex Invoker and Spearbreaker. They kind of want you to clash into them. I think you should have just AFK farmed on the Puck and the PA. Maybe sent, I don't know. Like, you don't really have supports to contest farm like this. Just, I don't know, sentry it earlier if you think it's going to be a big deal. I feel like even with an AM and Midas on Invoker, the fact that their farm is never breaking 1k is problematic. I mean, you do have the disparity of Underlord and Spearbreaker, but like he's actually keeping pace. Like I feel like Invoker's just not farming well enough for being in such an advantageous position. Class Invoker, he's out of spells. He uses 2 big ones already. I mean, they're Underlord when Vlad's, you know, they just want to run into you. Maybe you wait for the shift to get like, I don't know. It's a weird matchup for Anti-Mage into PA because AM doesn't want to get MKB. So they sometimes get like Bloodthorn and crap, but I mean, nowadays with Satanic, Purging, it doesn't matter. Luckily, they have a Spearbreaker that just goddamn kills everyone. I don't know if running back into Macropyre was smart on the Spearbreaker's choice. He could have just ran down. If I would be captaining the Radiant, I'd be telling right now that this Spearbreaker needs to not die. I think he's actually the most important hero to maintain net worth on. If he falls behind, he's never going to recover. I mean, they have a good situation right now with the Puck falling behind slowly. Oof. I don't know what they were doing there. AM was nowhere near. He does get the tower though, so. Another bad matchup for AM is the fact that they have a Puck. Puck really screws you over. You can get Ags and you can't blink away. It's kind of like one of those like he needs to run away with the game type games. Which he definitely could. Everything seems to be aligning with it. I wonder what goes wrong. Oh, no man. I don't know. There's no mana drain heroes on Dire. You should never be in a situation where you have 0 mana on Spearbreaker. I have no idea how Puck is maintaining net worth advantage, or not advantage, but parity with this Invoker. Radiant have map control this whole game. I feel like he should be much higher. I think that they're relatively equally matched. Divine 3 versus... Oh, they have a Radiant advantage on MMR. Oh no. This is the nightmare of AM. You do not want to lose your Spearbreaker off the rip. And then fighting inside of a pit. It's nightmare fuel. I think AM and Abaddon could have coordinated the break tether with the shield. If he dies here, this is a disaster. Yeah. I think just too many roots for AM. It's just an awkward game for him. He has to blow up puck every time, but he's got a Lincoln Sphere now. Spearbreaker needs to not die. He's probably never going to reach a BKB timing, and it's going to result in the loss of the game. You really need BKB into a Pit Lord, Pit of Malice. Yeah, he's going to cap out at these items. And you know the team's getting desperate when they're doing shit like this. You should never hold BKB that long. Maybe going Silver Edge on AM would have been the call this game. I don't know. I'm not a carry player. I feel like they had an issue where as soon as PA kind of hit that timing where she could hit people under coil, the game changed dramatically. Yeah, and that's GG. Overall, pretty decent. So, I wanted to watch this game because it was an interesting game. They ran carry OD, which is something I've heard of into the Timbersaw or Tinky offlane matchup. At least it used to be a thing. It's kind of cool to see it brought back. So obviously it's going right click build. This is awkward. I don't know why they ran up there. I don't know what he thought he could do. And this is pretty much the exact situation Sterling wants. He can right click people when they can't really fight back. Mars being solo here is never good sign of things to come. He should, I don't know. It's hard to kill him though. The best you can do is deny his farm, I guess, but I don't think they're doing that great of a job. He still has 46 last hits. I think PA maybe could have focused on more denies, or they could have denied waves under pull. In general, though, Dyer manages to equalize it pretty well. Definitely not something you want to see, a Divine losing the mid matchup to the Legend. I mean, we ended up seeing him catch back up, but just isn't good stuff. No magic stick on Ember either. At least he had a good dodge there. Oh. Yeah, I think that until he gets BKB, they should try to avoid fights. And then the second time will probably be on somebody to counter the PA. So no BKB. Let's see if they get punished for this. Missed the arena. Teleport in front of a Kaka's pretty brave. They get out okay. The supports try to make a play, end up getting nothing. That was a risky courier. He could have lost the BKB potentially. Good blank. They get at least a trade. He's always very low on mana on the Timbersaw. I feel like he could be dropping his mana boots. I think that essentially what ends up happening is they run into a stasis where OD's big, but he can't really kill the PA. So even though they're pretty good against everyone else on Dire, they just can't deal with him. So they have to farm it up, slow down the game a little bit on the Radiant. And see if that actually ends up happening, or if they take this fight, a big fight here. If they sneak a Roshan when Dire able to protect it is really bad. Yeah, I think that maybe this change to Arcane Orb being able to hit Roshan is what threw the Dire off. They were able to take it pretty fast because of that. Smart to kill him right off the rip. Weird decision to make Ember Spirit the Aegis carrier. I don't know what Mars thinks he's gonna do here. Should definitely get the fuck out. The OD maybe should have carried the Aegis. So yeah, he's gonna get Silver Edge on OD to deal with the PA. Oh. Full duration on top of Ember, and they still don't get the kill. Feels bad. That blast rig game winning right there made PA miss. Bane ulti is just so strong right now. Definitely have to be careful on Dire. His invis is gonna be up when he comes back. Getting kited like this feels bad. I think no matter what, he was probably dead, but he should have targeted the PA on OD. You get Aegis again. Definitely something to watch for. I think they're getting to a point though where now with the Silver Edge, and I think he's about to have Sheep, it's too hard to deal with the Radiant. Earth Spirit's ridiculously tanky too. 3,000 health. He just rolls in and blows up the 4 position right off the rip. They activate BKB and they're in an awkward spot with Kunkka now. You don't want to be hitting Mars on PA, especially during BKB. Yeah. Dire was very timing dependent. Like, yeah, the Timber Saw is pretty strong overall, but I don't know, maybe Ags would have been required this game on Timber Saw. It just felt like they were lacking damage that was unignorable by the Radiant. They had to deal with Timber Saw. Instead, they kind of ignored him. I mean, did you see how long it took him to kill the Surf Spirit? So, I'm not gonna watch all these games with Scoops matchups, but I find the interesting thing to know about Scoop's team, you know, the reason why I rank them so highly is because they have a mid player that, unlike me, is an actual mid player. He goes weird ass shit like Meepo, and you have to keep that in mind. And so, even though Doom actually started off pretty solid here, he knows how to microback his hero and turn the fight, essentially, even though he's being ganked a second time afterwards. He basically knows the limit of his health. It's nothing like crazy micro, but it's good enough to keep him alive, and then he keeps farming. And as the game goes on, you kind of see the problem with the Radiant side. They have a 4 position and a 3 position that just really don't feel that strong. They do okay in the lane, and I mean, the fact that Riki's not a real hero this game, I think really demonstrates how ineffective this dual lane was this game. The Spear Breaker barely feels like a non-support this game. I mean, he's 1,000 net worth behind the LC. 4-man rotation for an LC kill. And then I will harp on it again, but I really don't like going Midas. I think it's still your timing zone on Doom. I think you could have just grouped 5-man with a powerhouse Doom to frontline everything while Meepo's kind of weak. Because you don't want to rely on Doom every single time. The Doom ultimate specifically. And then I think he gets picked here as well. Yeah, he gets killed by Meepo and LC while his team are crowded around this tower. They get a good trade here if I remember correctly. But it feels bad if your highest net worth is dying. I think Riki maybe dies here too. Decision by Scoop to walk in there. And then LC goes in and I think he dies as well. Doesn't even get the kill in Oracle. This right here is, I think, what kept Radiant in the game. I think if they didn't get those series of kills, that would have not led to the next pickup on the Meepo. I think they doom him somewhere around here. Oh no, they doom him here and then they doom him again later. Sorry. But this doom, it doesn't matter. They end up losing that fight. And let's see what happened to Doombringer. Starts a doom off. Now, if only didn't have Midas, what if he had that nice BKB timing? I think game would have been different. Just a disaster for Radiant right here. And Riki starts recovering around here. Smart decision to not go Battle Fury, anything gimmicky. Just go for the threat. Basically just suffocate the Radiant. Luna is not very strong if she feels suffocated for farm. And I think that's what kind of starts happening. Sorry, I missed the pick on Meepo. But yeah, he gets charged and then doomed here. They didn't need to doom if they staggered the stuns better, but they overlapped them. Feels bad, man. They had Oracle ulti right there. Could have saved him. Get some pressure in general, but like, look at this vision by Dire. It's just like, you could feel the suffocation. And that leads to some picks down the road. Into a Roshan. You don't want to see that happen. Him dying like that is not good. They get the trade, but... And solo dying is not great. And Spearbreaker dies again. As well as the Luna. Oh. Luna into Meepo just feels bad in general. Really needed to have Doom show up and Oracle get some crazy saves. Yeah, and that's pretty much the end of the game. I think they get Aegis shortly after this and close out the game. So, here's my notes basically about the teams. Breakable had a bye, so I didn't have any new notes on him. Dotato continues to struggle to stay ahead. 2 games, turned on a dime. I feel like they overall had these games, but just cooler heads prevailed on 2-2-2. And then the snlork and Cult of Paint. Cult of Paint is like solid middle of the road, but like I think snlork is a solid A team this season, and it just shows they 2-0'd them. But I feel like compared to last week, snlork, the carry player, just did not perform as well, but still they won 2-0. And then off versus Venom. They didn't have all their games available, so I only saw one, but Venom actually seemed to go okay against off, but off in general felt like a higher caliber team. Kstigs, they go 1-1, but I feel like even in the game that Ego lost, they just kind of went a goofy draft. Ego could be a threat. And then Aragorn versus Stars. I think we saw that Aragorn is not as scary as some people thought he might be. So Stars prevails. I think Stars is showing that hiding behind two really strong, confident players, Doggo can shine. And then me versus Strilling. Ugh, don't get me started about Rubik in game one. Oh man, that was brutal. But we took game two pretty well, I think. I never felt really pressured, but game one was definitely full of regret. I tried something off the cuff and it bit me really hard. Then there was Jihaad versus Thanks Buddy. Jihaad, I don't know. I watched the replay. I didn't feel like they were that weak, but it just felt like something's missing there. And Thanks Buddy kind of just pulled ahead. And Thanks Buddy is actually Prohibit, and Prohibit's a reasonable carry. I mean, mid, sorry. Then we got 4 boosted versus Vagina Clappers. Vagina Clappers is actually a solid team. We scrimmed them 3 times, or twice, but 3 matches. And this week we tried to experiment, and they definitely took advantage of us when we were experimenting. So definitely a team to be on the lookout for. I think that they could show some strength. We'll see how they do next week against Scoop's team, or the departed Scoops. And 4 boosted, I don't know, they seem like they have potential. Big Toe seems to be doing good at times, but they seem to fall apart after like the mid game. Hobbes and Killjoy. Hobbes felt like a stronger team in general, but Killjoy did take 1 game. It was kind of like the surprise OD carry. I don't know, maybe it's not a surprise to people who watch this very often, but definitely felt like they were surprised by it. And then Scoop Jackson. Yeah, Scoop Jackson versus Doc Ock. Scoop's really showing, or really Sorella in my opinion. They have a solid mid laner that requires a bit of pressure from the enemy, and it gives space to the carry. And at times they're off lane to just do whatever they want. And I think it's pretty clear in this matchup, although Doc Ock definitely was one of the weaker teams from the previous week. So, oh no, sorry. They actually made it to B tier. So what am I going to change? I'm going to, even though it was a joke last week, I'm going to move myself out of S tier. I'll give myself A tier. You know, Strilling, I don't, what's their standing right now? Strilling's 3-1. They stay in the A tier. Kstigs, I think, yeah, they did pretty solid. I mean, they had that 1 win against Ego, which kind of shook my confidence in them, but because Ego's still a bit of a maverick, and I am versing them, so I'll know more like in week number 3. So I'll keep them here. Venom, I think if you get 2-0'd, you can't stay in A tier. I think you drop down to B. Son of Paint. Yeah, I think these guys are dropping, even though I like them, and they did. And I think snlork is pretty strong, but I really don't think they're like high tier. If anything, they're like low A. I mean, we'll see. Maybe I'll be eating my words. Stars definitely is moving up to be a threat. I think they jumped to A tier this week. And then I'm just gonna call off the cuff that off could be the secret S tier from this week. And then I think these guys drop down to C tier. Can't get 0-2'd and not drop down. Big Toe. I hate to do it to you, but Gotta drop you down. 2222 will go up to B tier. Let's see. I guess I maybe forgot dotato in the previous week's thing. But let's see. Dotato. They are 1 and 3. Yeah, they're not looking so good. So. Oh no, I had them here. Dotato. I'm sorry to do this to you, but if you got 2-0-0-2, you gotta drop down. The reason why 222 didn't go up to A tier is because dotato wasn't that strong to begin with. And then who else have I not looked through? Killjoy, I don't think is B tier anymore. As much as I like to root for them, I think they're down to C tier. And then, let's see. I kind of would want to put vagina clappers up to A tier, but I think I'm going to keep them there. I think we'll see how they do this coming week against Ego. And then I'm going to add Ego. Because they're unproven yet, I'm going to add them here. So we've done, oh yeah, and then, yeah, Hobbes, I'll drop up to B tier. They played pretty well. Definitely underestimated them in the first week. The record's 3-1 now too. And I think that's everyone. Breakable stays where they were. Off jumps up to S tier. Kstigs, Strilling, Stars. I don't want to be unfair to Strilling, so I think Strilling. I wish I could have seen how game 1 would have went if I didn't last pick the Rubik. I would be able to decide if I'm B tier, they're A tier, they're B tier, and I'm A tier. But the world will not know until week 3. And then, is there anyone else? I think that's everyone. I think I've went through every single set of people. snlork, Ego, Doc-Ock. Oh no. Doc-Ock, what am I gonna do with you? I think I'm gonna keep him here because I really think Sorella is just did pretty good against them, and I don't think that means that they're worse as a team. I think they're still here. I think they just got outclassed. So I think this is the week 2 tier.